there, Star Wars fans, and welcome to the Inside the Droids panel. So, for your entertaining pleasure, we have Chris Bartlett, who is none other than C-3PO amongst many other droids, bounty hunters like Q90, One Jack, and more. Please. Oh,
Thanks. My goodness. Why, hello.
Next up, we have R2D2 and R5D4, Miss Christine Galey. Miss Christine, do you need help? Right this way. And last and certainly not least, another incredibly talented droid actor. We have Mr. Daniel Bohman. He's the guy in the lead for best mustache at the con so far.
Yes.
Welcome,
Hey.
droids, one and all, and thank you so much for being with us this weekend. So let's start off with your Star Wars stories. So we're gonna go right to left. Chris, what is your Star Wars story? When did Chris Bartlett fall in love with Star Wars?
Ooh, 1977. I was 7 years old, and it was one of the first movies that I saw as a kid. And there was no promise of any more Star Wars at that point. It was just Star Wars. And so then we went home and got I saved up my money and got action figures, and then made our own stories in the shag carpet in the living room, you know. And you know, everybody has Darth Vader and Luke. But what about Snagglepuss and the Power Droid? You know, like, what's their story? So that was sort of my why Star Wars just really ignited my imagination, and that's how it started. And then you know, building costumes as a 7-year-old with my parents. They were really supportive, and that's how it started. Yeah.
Miss Christine, what is your Star Wars story? When did you fall in love with Star Wars?
Oh my God. I think when I was 6 years old, or I'm not remembering, but it was when we went. My parents took me to Disneyland, and that's when I started riding the Star Trek ride, and yes, the Star Tour in Disneyland, California. So that ever since then, that's when I fell in love, because I saw R2D2 and a CP3O, and from there, yeah, ever since that part, and I was so excited when they were building the new land of the Galaxy Edge, which is really awesome. But yeah, that's the time. I would say like 1990. Wait, I don't know. Well, I was like 6 years old, so I'm like
It wasn't that long
95.
ago.
Yeah, that's not long ago. But yeah, it was around that time.
Of course, Daniel, what is your Star Wars origin story? When did you fall in love with the saga?
A long time ago, and no. I was too young for Star Wars coming out, but I do remember Return of the Jedi coming out, so that was my entry into the world, I think. But I was always, my brothers were already in love with the movie, so I kind of grew up with it. So we had the action figures in the house, and I always waited for one or two as a birthday present or as Christmas present, and yeah, it just grew from there. So yeah, it was just never ending. And then, but by 1983, it was over, and then it kind of trickled off, and then it was brought back, and then it died again, we thought, and then it came back. So it's kind of like a never-ending saga that we fell in love with.
So the two of you have been playing various protocol droid or protocol droid types for various Disney Plus series at this point now. I mean, obviously, it just for you started with The Mandalorian, and for you as well. But did you guys ever see that starting off as a costume maker, the potential of maybe being on screen one day in one of those costumes?
Well, I started in 2000 as I built a stormtrooper costume, and I became a member of the 501st. So my number is TK409. And that was really my acting school, was coming to Comic-Cons and playing characters like Stormtroopers or Boba Fett, or I built Tusken Raider and then eventually C-3PO. But yeah, the dream was always wouldn't it be, I always wanted to be an actor, but I thought, well, of course that'll never happen, so playing in a costume would be enough for me. And then I, would do these at Comic-Cons. It wasn't till Lucasfilm saw a clip of me in a C-3PO costume that I built that I got a message from them saying, we'd like you to come in for an audition. And so I finished building it at Lucasfilm.
And when was that?
2006.
Oh, that's quite some time. So,
Yeah.
so what have you been doing in the meantime, since you've been doing this since 2006?
What have I been doing in the meantime? Well, this is my 19th year playing C-3PO for Lucasfilm on television. So anytime you've seen him on television in live action over the last 18 years, that was me. And except for Ahsoka, Anthony Daniels, the original actor, came out for that scene. But I played him in Kenobi. I was in the suit for that. Yeah, and then I met Dan when I moved to LA, and that's a whole other story. But we became great friends through our love of Star Wars, costumes, droids, and motorcycles. And so we ride together all the time. And then when the new shows started spinning up, I was cast as Zero. And occasionally they would say, we have 2 droids in the scene. Do you have someone that you could call? And I get to pick from one of my friends who gets to be in Star Wars, which is just like, that's amazing. So I called Dan, and Dan I knew that he had done some costuming as a droid in a short film too, and I'll let him talk about that.
Daniel?
Yeah, my friend Tim Martin and I made a short film, I don't remember, I think it was 2016. And it took a couple years because everyone's working for free. But when he started the project, he wanted to make a movie with his young son, 5 years old. And he knew someone who had a protocol droid costume. And he looked at me and he's like, do you want to be a droid? I'm like, well, yeah, obviously I want to be a droid. I didn't realize that I would be one of the main characters as a droid. So that was pretty exciting.
What was the film?
Birth of a Monster. And I played a character called OTK. And so that was my introduction into being a droid was in Death Valley at 110 degrees. And in Barstow, and yeah, walking around sand and only having one little... The droid is very old and worn, and he only has one functional eye. And that's the one I can't see through, and the one I actually can see through. Yeah, so walking the dunes for a couple miles with one eye, it was pretty exciting. So being outside was easier.
Well, we're glad you're okay with that. And Christine, how did it all start for you? How did you get involved with playing R2-D2? And did R2-D2 come first for you, or did R5-D4 come first for you? Even though R2 was Book of Boba and R5 was The Mandalorian, which one of those roles came first?
It was R2-D2. So I got a call to come in to do a fitting, and I didn't know it was him, but it was a code name that they give out. So I came into the studio, and once I met the costuming, it was they were filming it in Manhattan Beach, if you know California, and then but anyways, so I came in and they asked me, "Can you wait because John Favreau and Dave Filoni want to see you try on the costume?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. So what is this, the costume?" So he was covered over the sheet, so they pull it out. This is the costume. So I look over, I'm like, "You want me in this R2-D2? Like, yes." Oh, okay. So I was so nervous, surprised about that. But usually, like a fitting, it take like 5-10 minutes for me to try it on, and I'm done. this one is like at least an hour or so, an hour and a half for fitting. And I felt bad because my husband, Bradley Galey, was outside waiting for me. So I had to tell them, like, hey, Bradley's waiting for me. Can you tell him about it? So they ended up telling him what's going on. So I'll
Did they
just,
tell him what you were doing? Like who it was for?
yes.
Oh, did he get to come in?
No, he didn't come in. So I felt bad, but he couldn't come in, so he had to wait in the car. But it was during pandemic when everybody's wearing masks, and my eye was like, I was crying, but you can't see me. So like, yeah, in the studio they were filming, and I was waiting for John and Dave while they stopped recording what they had to do. So they came over with the what you call it? The
WD-40?
No, the
Oh.
crew. They were filming themselves too behind the scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they were coming in and they like asking me, so Christine, this is the costume you're gonna try on, R2D2. Are you okay with that? Like, yes, I'm okay with that. Like, so how are we gonna work it out? Like, how am I gonna get in? So I guess the costuming, they flip out the R2D2 and I had to stand, put my hand up, and they put it over me, and that's when they like asked me like, how do you feel? Does it feel heavy? Like, no, actually it's not heavy at all. But the only thing is, it's poking me, behind me, like, 'cause it's like, it wasn't, there's like little sharp area. So, John was telling the comic, well, can you make it padded all over the place, even the head too? So like, telling the costuming, it's like, okay. And ever since, they told me, can you do the R2D2 happy dance? So I did what they did. They asked me for, and like, can you move the head? We're gonna put the head on. Are you okay with that? Like, yes, I'm okay with that. But in my mind, I was screaming like, oh my gosh, this is
Like excited or scared?
like, you know what? I was so excited.
Cool.
Did it take you back to that moment when you were a young lady at Star Tours for the first time, seeing R2D2 pilot the Starspeeder 3000?
Actually, no.
Oh, okay.
It made me think of Kenny Baker.
Oh.
Yeah,
Very
because like
nice.
when I saw him doing it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I wish I could meet him. But then after that, like when they call me to come in to do a fitting, which is R2, I'm like, oh wow, I'm stepping his stone on, and I'm like, okay. So that's when John was telling me, like, Christine, this is my favorite character, R2D2, and I want you to make it happen. So make it as how I like it, like make him happy, make it all like, make that whatever. So, but I don't make the sound. I just put it out there.
I've heard
I
you
thought
do
you
the
did.
sound, so,
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's when John left, and I remember Dave still walking throughout with me. It's like, well, Christine, we like you to be part of the team. Welcome to the Book of Boba Fett. We want you to be part of R2D2. So I was like, thank you so much. I'm so honored. Like, I was so happy, and that's when I came to see Bradley in the car, I was like, Bradley was just telling me, so how's everything? I just like, it was good. It's really
Wow.
good.
You couldn't
really?
even tell Bradley?
It was good.
time?
And then he knows, like, so
Oh.
do you know who it is? Like, because did they tell you who I was playing with? Like, yeah, that's holy shit. That's good. Like, I can't believe, Christine. Like, you're the first female. I'm like, oh my God, calm down, Bradley.
This is why we always censor R2 with beeps, right? I mean,
like, hey, calm
Cut
down,
that, cut that,
please.
cut that, cut that, cut
But
that.
yeah, I was so overjoyed. I was like, yes, I'm so happy I was R2D2. And that's how it happened.
So when did they tell you were playing R5? I imagine it was shortly after that because season 3 of Mando came very quickly after the Book of Boba Fett.
So it was when they didn't tell me
Oh, okay.
about it yet until it was I was filming with them too, when we were filming in
Season 3?
the season 3 of The Mandalorian, and yeah, I was filming with them, and that was when they came to me like, Christine, we want you to try the fitting. Like, oh, okay. I thought it was something else. I thought it was just a Jawa or whatever. So like, okay, simple, quick question. And I crossed over another studio, and that's when I saw the Wi-Fi. I was like, oh, okay. And that's when they told me, you remember this droid, right? You did the R2D2, but he's similar, but a little taller. So yeah. So like, this is R5. Like, okay, what do you want me to do with him? And it's the same thing,
The
but
usual.
yeah, the same thing what you do with R2D2, but totally different. This one is instead of R2D2 doing the side to side, how he does the happy dance, R5 they want me to do walk back and forth. So once I tried on the costume, I couldn't see anything inside, and so I could hear them telling me, "Can you walk back and forth?" So that's when I was trying. So you want me?
Forward and back?
Yeah,
like this?
forward and back.
Ooh, was that scary? Did you feel like you were going to fall
is-
over?
Well, I was trying not to fall over, so I was so nervous. So I was gripping the handle, so I'm trying my best. But he's a little bit heavier than R2, so I was gripping it, and I could hear him yelling, "Okay, lot bigger. How big do you want?" So I just gave it out, and then just, Christine, it's okay. There's people in front of you and back of you. If the droid fall, we'll catch you. Like, okay. So I'll just show you whatever I could give you. So once I did it, and they liked it, and that's when they asked me to get the part of it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Daniel, so what was the first droid you played on screen for Star Wars?
Officially, the first droid was on Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I played YO, which is Little Princess Leia's butler or assistant. And
Chrome with beautiful blue eyes.
that's right. Yeah. Blue eyes, yeah.
Now, was that something that you did when they put together the costume, or did someone else put together this protocol droid and say, this is the one you're putting on?
Well, it changed a few times, actually. I was going to be playing a different droid. There was another droid in the scene which I don't think has a name, but was a repaint from The Last Jedi.
Yeah. There were 3 droids that day
Right.
on set, and that was a repainted one from the what was the casino?
Canto Bite?
Canto Bite, yeah.
That's right. So I was originally fitted for that. Chris came over one day and he said, "Hey, I want to meet you for dinner." And so he came over and brought a box, and it said Pinewood on it. And I'm like, okay. And then he dressed me up in this droid suit, and I'm like, what is going on? He's like, oh, we need a droid for Star Wars. And so that was my introduction to, hey, you got a job. And so I said no, obviously.
When did it sink in? Was it, yeah, sure. Oh, was it kind of like that?
Yeah. And then we went out for dinner, I think, and yeah. But then I ended up playing the protocol droid, YO, and I'm trying to think if you had any question behind that. I played.
Well, I was asking what the first one was.
Yeah, okay. Well, it was YO, and then actually throughout that day, I ended up playing the second droid as well after 10 or 12 hours or something.
Yeah.
It was a long, long day, but it was an exciting day. And so I played 2 droids in the same room at the same time. It was kind of bizarre.
How did that work out exactly? Did they just,
It was also during COVID,
yeah.
and and so somebody else was wearing it before, and then she needed to take a break, and so they're like, all right, let's get Dan back in in hers real quick. Well, during COVID, you had to like wipe down suits, disinfect them, make sure that like 24 hours had passed, but
we had to get the shot.
Yeah, we had to get the shot, and so
So she was unfortunately, I think, overheating in the suit, and it was a long, long day to be standing and holding food trays with basically no breaks. And so they said, "Hey, do we have anyone else this size that could jump in?" And I'm still in the YO character without my helmet on, and I go, "I fitted in that droid, so I'm right here. Do you want to jump in?" Yeah.
Chris, what has been your favorite droid that you have portrayed so far? And what's a droid that you would like to maybe portray in the future?
Yeah. Q90 is my favorite. He had such a cool attitude. He was the smartest guy in the room. I got a cool shootout in the streets of Navarro a couple episodes earlier. It was the same costume, but it was, Dave said it's not the same character, but I mean, it looked exactly the same. And I got to live my 7-year-old dream of being in a shootout in Star Wars. But then I got to fly Mando's ship, which was, again, another dream come true, ship in Star Wars. And then got a great death with Mando there. And then I got to work with Grogu for the first time. Well, back then he was just a child. We didn't know his name, but that was really fun. He's so realistic in person as he is on TV because he's a practical puppet, and the puppeteers always play along. And if they see someone walking over to him and addressing him, like I would say, Grogu, you want something from craft services? And he would like look up at me, and his ears would tweak, and his mouth would open. It was so realistic, and that's just because the puppeteers are over here, sitting here twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the shot, and then they're like, oh, we get to play. Let's rehearse. So Zero was my favorite to play because of all those reasons. Also, he looks so cool. He's a bounty hunter with great accessories. And one I would like to play, I would love to bring to life 000 in live action, because I would love to explore like what he sounds like, how he, what his attitude is. Even though he looks like a black C-3PO with red eyes in the comics, he talks. His dialogue is kind of like C-3PO, but he's a he's described as a psychopathic torture droid, which is how I act all the time. So no, but I'd really like to see him in live action.
That would be so cool. Would you want to do the finger attachments too?
Remove my fingers and then have all the attachments.
Well, I
Yeah,
imagine you
sure.
would have like just a swappable
Yeah.
glove that has
All the implements,
go-go
the
gadget,
torture
attachments,
saw blades and flamethrowers and stuff. Yeah, that's the whole point. Is I want to see all the cool accessories in 000, and there's magical ways you can do that. To
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I did Zero, I had a Scum link that came out of my hand, and that was a practical thing that we just shoved in my hand here, and I show it to Mando, but what they would do is I would do the little activating movement, and then props would come over and shove it in my hand, and then we would keep going, and then they would take it out again, and then they just edited it all together so it looked,
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hopefully, if we do get a 000 in the future, hopefully we'll also get a BT1 in the future as well,
right.
because
Yeah, he has a
000
counterpart.
has a droid counterpart, much like C-3PO has his R2-D2. So
Yeah.
that would be super cool to see in the future.
That would be.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Christine, what has been, I know you've only played a couple of droids, so I'm just going to extend this to the characters you've played so far. What is your favorite character that you've played in Star Wars as of this moment? And what's a character you would like to play in the future?
Okay. Well, so far my favorites are R2-D2 from playing him, and then I don't know. There's so many droid I could remember that they had it out, but let's see.
You've played other droids.
Mm-hmm.
You remember
Yeah.
in
Okay.
season
So season 3, I did play called the Tripod droid, and I remember there was no name for it. So I asked them, like, "Is it okay? Can I name that droid?" Like, "Yeah. What do you want to name it? Tritine?
3? Tri-T?
Tritine?"
This is in season 3 Mandalorian in the bar, the droid
The-
bar.
yeah,
the 3 of
the-
us were all in that scene.
Yes, it was us 3, and it was a 3-leg droid. And there's a picture of me on my boot. You can see me. I was all happy about it, And then it's a 3-legged droid, and that droid is kind of like, it reminds me like one of those when you have like a little bum horse thing, whatever. You know, like you had to drag it. So I'm dragging my droid with me. But yeah,
Those 3 legs, you were the front
I'm the
2.
front, and then there's a little
One leg in the
one
back
leg in
was
the
just
back.
kind of
Did-
dragging.
Yeah.
Did
Okay.
they at least have like wheels on the bottom of that other
Yes,
leg?
that
Oh,
one
okay,
has
good.
wheels, and so, but overall, like during that time when we were filming, it was kind of hot in that one. So he's like at least my least favorite one.
Mm.
Yeah, but R2 and R4 is my favorite one because I can actually stand on it. And then during the time when R2D2, when I was filming it on the Book of Boba Fett, they, during cut take, they let me take out the head, and I have like a personal guide holding the umbrella for me. So I'm just talking to him, like, "How you doing up there? Are you are you good?" And then, but the joy I want to see, I want to try on is I don't know. I don't know how many joy they have.
Oh, there's a lot. There's
Yeah.
tons of droids.
Yeah.
There's tons and tons. Well,
But yeah, this hopefully if I think of something else, say
sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. We'll come back to you if we have
Yeah.
to. Daniel, what is your favorite droid that you've portrayed so far, and what's a droid you would like to play in the future? I already know what my favorite droid that you've portrayed so far is. It's the shiny blue one from that very same droid bar scene.
I think that's probably most people's favorite droid that I've played. And I probably have to agree because the reaction on set for everyone who was there as soon as they saw the blue walk out, it was. Yeah. And so everyone was feeling the same thing. And Bryce Dallas Howard loved it, and that's probably my favorite. And it was a room full of droids. It was like 40 or 50 of us, and there were 3, 4 actors, and the rest were puppeteers.
Was there 2 little ones?
There's 2 little and then
One big one.
big one.
Yellow.
Right.
The
So
yellow
there's
one.
5 of us
Yeah.
that were live. The rest of them were all puppeteered in that.
Puppeteered or
Remote controlled.
Remote
controlled.
control.
And so that was exciting and fun. Anyway, I think it was the largest collection of droids ever.
Yeah.
As far as droids I would like to play at some point a bounty hunter of some kind. Someone doesn't have to be necessarily menacing, but something with some action that's, maybe a little on the
Something
sketchy
with a
side.
blaster.
He's something with a blaster.
So now we're going to take it out to some questions to the audience. So does anybody have a question for any of our awesome droid actors? Just raise your hand. Yes. Okay. She wants to know if your daughter realizes that you're R2D2.
Actually, yes. There was a time we went to Disneyland, and there was a droid, R2D2, that was remote control, and she was like, "Mommy, that's you, R2D2." So and she was like, "Mommy, come on, Mom, let's go to see you." So she'll drag me, and then there was a cast member. She was wearing the jacket with a BB-8 and R2 jacket on it. And one of the cast members was like, "I love your R2. Yes, that's my mommy." And that was when, everybody was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know you were R2D2." Like, yeah, that's me on the Book of Boba Fett. Like, they're like, "What? On Disney Plus? Do you guys have, it's on Disney Plus." And some cast members don't have Disney Plus, so that's why it's hard for me to explain it to them. But yeah.
Next question. Who else has a question for our guest? Yes, sir. What's it like working with Bryce Dallas Howard? She seems incredible. Not any one of you.
True story. No, she's wonderful. She's really sweet. She's really fun. Everything about, we were on that set for a couple days, and the first day was with the primary cast with Mando and with Bo-Katan, and then the rest was just lots of droid stuff, and it was, I don't know, it was just playtime.
Yeah, Bryce is like being wrapped in a blanket of joy. She is on set. Always know where she is because she's laughing, giggling, so happy with something that has gone well. But she's also, we got some great photos of her directing Dan during that thing. You only what you see on screen is only a tenth of what we've spent all the time doing. There's this whole time where she was telling you about the jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was having the blue droid kind of reacting to jokes and like listening intently, and then it's hilarious, and patting the guy on the back, and and so we were having more moments than you get to see. Fortunately for us, unfortunately for the rest of everyone else, but I do remember one of the times when she was doing shots of the other droids, and Chris and I were off by Video Village sitting next to Bryce, and then she's like, "All right, we need you guys on the set." And so we start squeaking over, and she just busts up laughing. That's what it's like working with Bryce. She's great.
We'll be right there. It'll be about 15 minutes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, are y'all familiar with the animated Droid series from way back in the day? Is there any chance you can bring that to live action?
Is there a chance? Yeah, sure.
Put in your votes now.
Yes.
I feel like they did
I'm all
for
for it.
some of them. Do you mean the series as a whole to live action, or do you just mean like some of the characters from it?
Lots of great stories in those
Yeah.
cartoons.
The 3PO Droid show was like fantastic way back when I was a kid. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, since you guys see all those characters now, could there be a chance to see more of that?
Well, that scene with Bryce with in the resistor bar, that's what it kind of felt like to me. It's like, oh, we're gonna get more droids. We're gonna get this as a side thing. So who knows?
It's so cool. Any other? Yes, sir.
Christine, filling Kenny Baker's shoes, what was your expectations once you were told that you were going to be portraying this iconic droid?
What were your expectations when you were told you were portraying R2D2?
Well, when I was trying R2D2, I was so honored to be R2D2 because I feel like I'm taking his job, stepping his toe. And on top of that, which is I'm the first female to puppeteer R2D2, which is just an honor to be part of it. And yeah, just seeing that, taking over Kenny Baker's role, ever since, that's when I've been went home, watched his show, what can I bring R2, what he wanted. So I bought it to show what they want. Yeah.
How many days were filming on Book of Boba Fett for you?
So this one was a 2-day film, and it was the first day was a 12-hour shoot because they had to take each angle, and then the second day was just the day that they missed what they filmed, pretty much. But yeah, that was around that time.
Christine, real quick. While she did just mention she's the first female to portray R2D2, more excitingly, she's the first person to portray R5D4. In the first, in about 50 years of Star Wars history, that is incredibly awesome, and I just don't think enough fans know about that fact. So now y'all know. It's super cool.
Yeah, Christine mentioned not being able to see. What about in R2? Could you see?
So R2, I could see him. So
Like, are you
so
looking
his
out the
eyes
eye?
right here, and then I know there's a little thin glass right here. If you on my left side, that's the only part I could see. That little glass,
And you
clear.
Can,
Yeah,
Any
that
lights? Can you
thing.
turn on any lights?
So there is a light switch.
Oh, nice.
There was a little light switch turned on and off when there was a scene when Mondo was talking to me, don't go off, and I just turned it off.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any moments like that behind the scenes where you were just kind of playing with that in character in R2? Some other cast member would walk up, oh, hey, R2, it's so nice to see you. Boop.
I think I don't know if I was playing because it was Mandalorian was Brandon Rain. He was during cut take, we'll like playing around with each other, like on and off, and he'll talk to me like, "Okay, Christine, turn on." So I just turn it on just for him to make him happy, to make his day. And then like, "Can you dance for me?" Like, "Yeah." So I'll just do the dance, even though we're behind the scene. And then, but yeah, like they what you call it? He was very nice. He was just like playing with R2, and then Walsey Dawson was be right behind me just to joke around with me too. So
Who was in the suit for Mando that time?
the suit around that time was Brandon Rain, so that played the
Who's here?
Mandalorian. So yeah, that's him.
Christine mentioned, it being hard to see in there, and that's really part of playing a droid.
Yeah.
Is it's just going to be hard to see. For a protocol droid like C-3PO, you're looking through drinking straw size holes in the center, the little black holes. So it can be really disorienting because you can still see inside. Kind of a Robert Downey Jr. kind of Iron Man. You can see in there, but that can really throw you off. So what I do is I focus on what I'm seeing through the holes. So like. I might be seeing, R2 or a land speeder or stormtroopers, or Jon Favreau smiling, that's what you just focus on what's on the outside. Do you find that helps you, Dan?
Instead of looking at the padding and the wiring and all the things around in your face, it's interesting.
Would you say it's easier seeing things up close in front of you or seeing things further away when you're looking through those tiny peepholes?
I don't know. I'm seeing just like what I am seeing now. Like if I had the head on here, I could see all the way to the back of the room. It's just through like this big, But you get used to it over time. Plus, there's a real passion for playing him, so that really fuels a lot of the, we're gonna get this done. I can do this because I really want to do it. And so I would say if there's anything that you really enjoy doing, you find that. You have no problem learning about it. You have no problem practicing or enduring because you already have such a love for what you're doing. I would just say keep going.
Thank you, Chris. And real quick, before we wrap up our Inside the Droids panel, we have a giveaway from one of our sponsors. BigBadToyStore.com sponsored a lot of our free giveaways, and this is one of those giveaways. We have a Darth Vader from Beast Kingdom. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask a trivia question real quick. And
It's like a baby Darth Vader.
Yeah. It's like super deformed, but it's also very articulate. It's so cool. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask the audience a question. Y'all are going to raise your hand if you know the answer. And, I'm going to let Chris select the hand, by the way, because this question's pretty close to your heart. So who knows how many forms of communication C-3PO is programmed with?
Oh, I have to pick
Yes.
one of those. All right. The man in the back next to the astromech. Well, he does say throughout the original trilogy, I am fluent in over 6 million forms of communication, until the sequel trilogy where he had an upgrade and he says he's fluent in over 7 million forms of communication. So you are also right. Yes.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Yeah, here you go. What's your name? Oh, get it later. Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Yes.
You are the winner of this super deformed Vader. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out. We have so many more events coming, so many more panels throughout the day.
Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Chris, Christine, and Daniel, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And may the force be with all of you, you rebel scum.